Yo, what is up, folks? This is Dan Maxwell Jr. coming to you this bright Saturday from Monrovia, Liberia. And in this video, I want to quickly talk about the opportunities that lie ahead of us. These are very interesting times. And with the level of interest, some people call it chaos, some people call it challenging, but I choose to use interesting. And because I find them interesting, I also see a lot of interesting opportunities lie in there. So I want to talk to you about some of the opportunities that exist right now in the space of change making, in the space of global development and impact creation. 10 years ago when we began working in the development consultant space, it was all about grant writing and business proposals and helping people source funding. And those activities still exist, but things have changed considerably, especially with the end of the Millennium Development Goals and the beginning of the Sustainable Development Goals. The world is going to completely new places. So there are new opportunities for making an impact in the world, but also in making a difference in your own life, in your own finances, as a global development practitioner or a global development consultant. So what are those areas? And that's what I want to talk about briefly in this video. One is the climate, climate change. We recently had COP26 in Glasgow. And there's so much money being talked about and pledges made, right? And some of those pledges will not be realized, obviously. But the idea here is that the topic of climate change and environmental protection is huge. And there's a lot of need. A lot of people don't understand. So there's a lot of capacity development that needs to be done in that space. There's a lot of awareness that needs to be done in that space. More specifically, or more importantly, the whole idea of calculating a climate finance, doing those financial calculations on climate change credits and what nation gets what and how much, the whole sphere of climate change finance is a huge area that is yet untapped. So if you come from a finance background, it's easy to move into that space and take some extra courses to understand, do some extra reading to understand how climate change finance works, and you can tie right into it. If you've also come from the areas of natural resource management, you can easily, fork into the climate change space. Extractive industries, because of the effect of the extractive industries on climate change, you can now reposition yourself that, okay, I worked in a space that created more damage to the environment. Now I want to help bring change to the environment, and so I'm moving into that space. So if you come from those professions, you can easily transition into climate change related work if you want to go into global development consulting. So you can do some research on that and you have more information. The other space that continues to grow in development consulting is the space of monitoring, evaluation, and learning. We call it M&E. Again, because people need to constantly be improving. If you're not improving, then you're not growing. And organizations want to know that they're making a difference and they want to learn from the evaluation. So you monitor progress, you evaluate the impact, and you learn from their mistakes and successes. So that's another space that's continually growing and continually expanding. So now there's issue around results based. It used to be more output based, but now it's about results and impact, and some of these impacts cannot even be quantified, and so you have to use other means of measuring the kind of impact that is being made. So M&E is one of those areas. If you come from the IT space and you work in data, or again you've come from accounting, you're familiar with Excel, or you're comfortable with Excel models, you come from IT, you're comfortable with SQL, database management, access. Those are areas that you'll find yourself easily morphing into M&E. M&E works with a lot of software. So, there's Stata, there's SPSS, there are a few other softwares out there that M&E professionals use. So you have to be comfortable with using software if you want to really grow into M&E, because you have to collect data, using technology, using tablets to collect data, and then you have to analyze those data and then come up with a pros report on the results of your evaluation or your research. So, if you enjoy research, you enjoy using computers and softwares, definitely you want to check out M&E if you're looking to move into global development consulting. The other space is gender and social inclusion. Again, women's rights, the rights of persons with disabilities, other minority communities, the albino communities, protecting these communities and helping empowering these communities of people. So that's another huge space, no matter where in the world you are. Doing gender issues, mainstreaming gender, helping policies or helping guide policies that will take account of the needs of women, of young people, and persons with disabilities. So that whole idea of gender inclusion, gender and social inclusion. For this, really, you can come from anywhere and move into this space. As many people there's a misconception that you have to be a woman to work as a gender specialist. That's wrong. Because as a man, I've done gender projects. I've done a lot of work in the gender space, from gender policy development to doing trainings to developing gender strategy. So you do not have to be a woman to work as a gender officer or gender specialist. All right. If you believe in the empowerment of women, and you believe in a fair world, in a just world where women should have the same rights as men, and women should be protected and given the same opportunities, then of course you can be a gender consultant no matter who you are or where you're from. One other area is the vast area of education, and I'll tie education to workforce development as well. So it's education, it's career guidance, and workforce development. That space is also a very a growing vast space, especially as we move into technology. Again, using technology to improve educational access, using technology to do TVET training, harnessing technology for hard to reach areas. So that's another space. And if you come from the teaching background, you can easily acquire IT skills and move into that space. So those are just a few of the opportunities that exist in the development consultant space. Obviously, there are opportunities in finance, in procurement, and supply chain management, in warehousing, obviously, that's supply chain. There are tons of opportunities out there, and I've just highlighted a few. If you are a professional already working, maybe you work in public service, you work in private sector, or even work in NGOs, but you feel that you can make a bigger impact as a global development consultant or global development expert, then I encourage you to reach out to me, at Dan Maxwell Jr., Facebook, Twitter. I'm not always on Twitter, but definitely LinkedIn and Facebook, Dan Maxwell Jr., and you will be able to contact me. And let's have a brief conversation and see how I can help you get things rolling. I have a group program that renews every quarter, and I also have one-on-one mentoring programs to help you build your career as a global development specialist. All right. Hope you have a great Saturday, and this is Dan Maxwell Jr. saying, continue to make impact. Cheers.